Good morning. Welcome to our Informatica event. Thank you for logging in. I hope you guys are safe and healthy. This is going to be a short discussion. Please stay with us until the end of this debate. Okay, even before the pandemic, the topic on digital transformation has been the center of many boardroom discussions. Notably, the COVID-19 pandemic has launched the largest cloud adoption journeys, forcing everyone to embrace cloud technologies for business continuity, support remote workforce, among others. Today, we will tackle one of the most pressing issues businesses face when it comes to digital transformation. Do you modernize your current infrastructure to address the changing business landscape or migrate entirely to the cloud? Our speaker will help us clear the haze. We will discuss the challenges of an on-prem systems vis-a-vis the evolving business demands, the cost efficiency of a cloud-based infrastructure, and most importantly, we will highlight on the necessity to democratize data to larger audiences so as to empower everyone with actionable insights. These are just some of the many key takeaways that our speaker will talk about. Before we begin, allow me to acknowledge our powercast this morning from Informatica. We have Daniel Clark, the Director for Hybrid Cloud, Big Data and Emerging Products, Asia Pacific. Good morning, sir. We also have the Regional Sales Director for Southeast Asia, Korea, and India, Sir Roberto Baldoni. Good morning, sir. Sir Gilbert Lo is also joining us this morning. He is the Partner Account Manager handling Southeast Asia markets. And Shirley Libita, the Marketing Manager handling ASEAN, and Kent Nakatangay, Cloud Solutions Architect, Asia Pacific. And from VSTECS, we have our first AVP and General Manager for Enterprise Group VSTECS Philippines, Svet Paner. And our first AVP for Business Development Group, Chart Carlos. And our product manager handling Informatica, Erica Valenciano. And my name is Maurice Altar. I'm from the Marketing and Communications Department of VSTECS. To begin, let me call on our first AVP and General Manager handling our Enterprise Business Group, Ms. Svet Paner, for the opening remark.
Thank you, Mao. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We at VSTEC, as always, find ways to provide solutions to our partners and to you, our customers, to accelerate and achieve your digital transformation. It is important for us to be able to ensure our solution remain accessible to you and deliver them seamlessly to a contactless digital experience. Today's event will be very informative and interactive. Because our speaker from Informatica, APAC Director for Hybrid Cloud, Big Data, and Emerging Products, Daniel Clark, will walk us through the benefits and the challenges of modernization and migration. We will also learn from the successes and the best practices of the leading companies in the industry today. So please feel free to reach out to me or to Erica Valenciano, our product manager for Informatica, if you need more information about this presentation and if you have questions and clarifications, and we will revert to you as soon as possible. Thank you again for joining us and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, Svet. We will now move on to our resource speaker. We have again Sir Daniel Clark, the Director of Hybrid Cloud, Big Data, and Emerging Products, handling Asia Pacific Informatica. Daniel looks after the next generation analytics, hybrid cloud, and big data technology portfolio across Asia Pacific, including Informatica's IoT capabilities. And he comes with an extensive capital market technology experience for the last 12 years. Daniel is heading up the regional cross-vertical initiatives with regions as clients are moving towards event-driven architectures based around the growing move towards real-time 360 degrees customer insights. Please go ahead, Daniel.
Well, firstly, thanks so much for everyone giving us your time of day today. Very interesting time, so we very much appreciate people working from home And so, yeah, giving us an hour and 15 today is greatly appreciated. I just need to comment. I have a new puppy. I've tried to control her, so if you do hear some barking, I apologise on her behalf. But hopefully, she stays obedient for my session. To introduce, the name is Dan Clark. I've been based in Hong Kong with Informatica for the last 9 years. Very much been involved in some of the latest and greatest projects that we've been involved in. Some of those in Philippines, certainly some of those across our Southeast Asian remit. My background has been selling technologies around trading systems and low latency, but more recently we've done a lot of work around Hadoop, and then short term has absolutely been the focal point on organizations moving to cloud. I've also got my colleague Kent Makatanga has joined with me. Kent is a 12-year seasoned Microsoft veteran based in our Singapore office, and Kent heads up our cloud go-to-market. And so we've absolutely got some strength in depth in what Informatica has done in this space. So I guess what we wanted to do for the short part of this is to run through a brief slide deck. And we've done a few of these roundtables over the last few weeks. What has been really useful is to try and get some responses from the audience to gauge exactly where people are. And then we typically take the conversation from there. So I would absolutely ask everybody that's on here, please ask any questions at any point in this. And I absolutely enjoy being interrupted. Well, my wife seems to on a regular basis. So please feel free to interrupt me, and we'll keep this interactive as we can. Okay, so I won't go too much into the details. For the guys that don't know us, our Informatica's DNA is in data management. Magic quadrant of 5 of the 6 you can see on here, which is all around the man management and day-to-day applicability of just looking after data sets. We all know how important data is in an organization. We have specialized purely in how you do that. So we don't sell databases. We've never sold a stack. We are purely in data management space. Some of the recent work that we've done, and where this is of absolute relevance, is in the areas around master data management. Some of the successful projects we've done with Union Bank domestically there. It's all around centralizing a singular view and how you do that from a data level. So yeah, very strong in everything data management. The applicability today is some of the work we've done in iPaaS and platform as a service. So 25 years laser focused on data. The last 8 years of those, we've done an awful lot of work specifically around cloud. And as we've seen in the market, and certainly in Asia, Southeast Asia specifically, we've seen a rapid deployment towards wanting to adopt cloud strategies. A lot of that has just been, as we all know, this movement and trend towards working from home. But also it's just the speed of deployments where we've done. So our DNA has been working with the likes of Salesforce, migrating technology sets into the Salesforce environment for a number of years now. So we absolutely have cloud pedigree. That cloud pedigree has started to evolve into some of our larger accounts, which in essence, they have traditionally used our technologies for on-premise. They've used us for some of our capabilities around data quality, and certainly the movement of data from legacy relational, from mainframe to cloud, to Hadoop, to other systems. But we've absolutely seen an aggressive push towards adopting cloud technologies as their next generation architectures. And there's a number of reasons for this. As you can see on here, we're talking about major logos, the likes of Tesla, which we underpin their master data management strategies, the likes of Nike, where we've done an awful lot of work around moving the data sets to Salesforce. So everything that we're showing you here and some of the thought leaders is absolutely applicable to the references we have in this space. The key point that we've seen from some of the larger organizations to all the way through to the smallest organizations is the holy grail is control of your architecture, being able to use hand coding. The real challenge that we have is firstly skill set shortage, that we have this predominantly across the region in ASEAN, but also it's around business value. because the principal idea of why anybody would move to cloud is business value and cost saving. So when there's the consideration of wherever you are in the cloud sophistication journey, you need to think about how much it is going to cost you to give a business value back. And this is really associated to the code debate, hand code versus tool-based. Where we have seen value in what we do is by adding additional value on top of this movement to cloud. And I'll go into a bit more detail to this, but when you think about all of this in this debate, we hopefully start opening up about this, you really need to consider how quickly you can associate business value. We saw a lot of this with organizations trying to move to Hadoop and big data 3-4 years ago. The big challenge that we had was everyone was following a dream of putting data in one place and you'd be able to make value from it. The difficult part was associating how you got that business value as quickly as possible. And the biggest challenge we saw with a lot of organizations, some of them in the Philippines, was the speed to market was rapidly increased by using hand coding. What we do is rapidly decrease the risk of showing business value by using a tool-based environment. So tool-based infrastructure that allows you to move stuff out quicker. But what you need to start thinking on top of this is there's the hand coding debate is one element, but you need to think about scaling. And so when you think about scaling for the future, hand coding means you can't cut and paste. Everything is manual intervention. The reusability gets cut off. If you can compare it to what code-based infrastructures can do, you can start building in some automation into this. So it isn't just the standard, I want to move data into the cloud. We have technologies that allow you to start automating some of the tasks around certain mappings, automating potentially what files you could send to the cloud, automating some data quality tasks. So the key element here is it's not just the debate of do I have the right skill sets, do I have enough people to hand code? It's what you can additionally add on top of your standard journey towards the cloud. And we've done an awful lot of work in this specific space that we'll go into. We've seen it with organizations that want to move to Hadoop. We see it now if organizations moving to a data lake, be that on-premise, be that on cloud. The key to this is metadata. And so where we're seeing the trend now is the traditional business user wanting to become a data scientist. There's always been the challenge of IT groups having to service the business. The speed of deploying business intelligence reports has reduced dramatically. The need for a business user to data mine has increased dramatically. So all organizations want to build out a lake where a non-technical end user can mine data sets. So in essence, you're making your business user a data consumer. So the key to this is metadata, because in essence, you're allowing to see where everything resides. You're allowing to see who's touching what. You're allowing to see where in essence the data flow is. But more importantly, you can start bringing in some disciplines around governance, data quality, which is absolutely important from an enterprise scale. But you are showing business value by empowering a business user to be able to start mining data sets. But again, the key to this is to knowing where your strong data resides, in essence, who's touching it, how does the end data consumer get hold of it and play with it. And this is really important to the point. Specifically to cloud, it's the same disciplines around where's my metadata, how do I manage the environment. You need to go through, as you can see on here, the 6 key fundamentals is for cloud. So the first point to having a true data lake environment is where, in essence, how do I discover my data? Do I honestly know where the data sets reside from my legacy on-premise technologies? I still don't understand where my data is in the cloud as I'm at phase 1 of the cloud journey. So in essence, you need to be able to understand the discovery of data sets. But as you move around the circle from left to right, there's still the challenges around the day-to-day of how I populate, cleanse, secure, master, and govern. These are all the traditional disciplines we had on premise. These are the stuff we're now moving to cloud. A very important point that we've seen, large organizations want to move to cloud. They have a cloud native strategy of a time frame where they want all of their data to be cloud hosted. A sizable percentage of organizations at phase 1, phase 2 of their cloud journey have only moved over a small subset of their on-premise data. And so you will all go through a transition of hybrid architectures. It is never a turn on, turn off scenario. So when you're thinking about this from a cloud journey, you need to think of the enterprise disciplines that go with it. And certainly as we see more importance around PAI and confidential masking of client data, you need to have an understanding of how you do that as you move the data into cloud. So as you have a hybrid on-premise to cloud environment, because it is never turn off, turn on, turn on, turn off. It's a really important point that people need to think about here. Again, fundamentals to it is data quality. And this is a siding across the whole organization. As you try and build self-service, as you try and empower business users to become data scientists, the biggest challenge here from adoption of data self-service is the trust of the data sets. And that is all based down on data quality. So just one element to show what we do here is how does cloud data quality work? So in essence, it's the same technologies we can use on premise. We can migrate those over to the cloud. Perfect example in here is in essence, how do we refine and standardize from one individual user? So as you are moving technologies into the cloud, you're standardizing on who is James Smith. In the example I'm doing here, we're using account ID, we're mapping across IDs, we're actually refining, we're enriching, we're correcting. This is really important for cloud as you profile data that you're moving to the cloud. We've seen multiple organizations just cut and paste the dirty data disciplines they had on-prem and moving those into a cloud environment. So again, when you're at journey of phase 1, phase 2, you still need to consider data quality as the primary driver to any cloud initiative, because you'll have the same challenges you have irrelevant of what cloud environment you're doing. So technologies, and again, we have the ability here, we're adding automation into how you actually run data quality. How do you refine and enrich the content you're ingesting? So these are the added versions that you need to think about as you again start mapping out your cloud environment. Paramount challenge we've seen is the same issue of dirty data in the cloud, dirty data on premise. The other element here, is data science. So again, we're trying to empower your data analyst, your data science, your data engineers to be able to play with data sets. We're trying to empower the business users to become self-serviced and self-service analytics. The real other challenge to think about here is how quickly do I start productionizing this environment? How easy is me to build out a data science lab? So a playground for your data engineers to be able to start mining data. This doesn't matter if it's on cloud or on premise. It's a challenge for a number of organizations. There's a delay in how quickly they can set up an environment. When we drill this down to cloud, there's 3 elements to this. There's the traditional way of number 1, hey, I want to move data from my on-premise. I'm just going to send it to one of the cloud data warehouses or a cloud ecosystem. Again, what we mean by that is the traditional technologies that the 3 large cloud hyperscalers offer. That, of course, is Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google GCP, plus their hosted cloud environment. So the relevant Redshift. We also see Synapse, BigQuery from Google, plus the new and latest and greatest cloud data warehouses in the likes of Snowflake. So in essence, you're just cut and paste moving data into the cloud. The second phase of sophistication is how we start taking advantage of tools like Spark. So when we want to try and save costs, level two of the cloud journey, we want to actually, in essence, start spinning up an environment and taking advantage of tools like Spark, very similar to what we did in the Hadoop world. The third and most sophisticated layer is traditional ETL, which in essence is all done on the server base. So what we're trying to do here is completely save costs on the environment. You can manage your own server environment. But more importantly, you can spin up, spin down. So if you want to churn a large amount of data, either at a certain time in the day or over a certain elongated time period, you can completely control that with your own environment. So we've traditionally seen guys that want to do this take advantage of cloud, take advantage of Spark compute, take advantage of serverless environment. So you completely control what you use and when you consume. So we've seen these patterns towards cloud. So it isn't just a cost-saving exercise of cutting and pasting stuff into cloud. So what we want to try and achieve is the holy grail in the middle here is advanced serverless. So this is idea, again, where we want to spin up, spin down what I use when I consume it. If I have a bit busy workload, if I'm going to be ingesting heavily, it's all based on pay as you go. And this is exactly where we're moving towards this advanced or demand generated scaling. So a data scientist can have the full power of cloud compute when and if he needs it, and you only pay for that pleasure. Plus, we're all moving towards the holy grail of everything being completely man-managed outside of my environment. So we're moving away of this idea of servers being managed, completely serverless environment. Plus, you want to move all your applications to be 100% cloud native. So as you move towards the cloud, you're building out application layer that absolutely supports that. In interest of time, I want to run through this quickly. We traditionally see this journey. We have core data integration. 25 years of Informatica's DNA was based on this. Traditional players being the likes of Teradata and Greenplum, you store data in a road relational environment, you query, you look up, this is how it works. In tradition, as we've moved towards new data warehouse or data lake environments, we now start to see organizations needing a quick win away from this traditional world. What they want to do is build out cloud connectivity. Again, we've seen an awful lot of organizations having to mix on-premise with cloud. This could be because of project slippage. It could be because of priorities based on certain data sets not being able to move to the cloud. We see this heavily in BFSI because of PII and the confidential data sets. But we also see where organizations simply want to cut and paste their data into the cloud for cost saving. This is the third one at the bottom, is mass ingestion. So I'm just using the cloud to save money. I'm just using it to augment my legacy technology and move to cloud. So I'm re-architecting in here. As this grows out, we also start to see the need for, as we progress to phase 2, re-architecting, you may need to take changes on a regular basis from your legacy systems. So you need to do some form of change data capture. You need to capture the flow from the legacy systems as you're migrating over to your new cloud environment. Plus, as you can see from it in the pink, you want to start taking advantage of elastic compute and this whole idea of serverless environments, pay for what you use. So you start looking at serverless, you start looking at how you can take advantage of this. Then you want to start looking at, in essence, how am I doing for my data quality and cleansing of data? Again, dirty data in the on-premise equals dirty data in the cloud. Then you need to potentially look at how you start managing this at scale. This is where we start moving to stage 3 of this environment, because as you have legacy on-premise systems, as you have platform as a service providers, as you have software as a service providers, and we see multiple of organizations outsource CRM to the likes of Salesforce and Marketo for marketing. It makes an awful lot of common sense to do this and the migration too. The biggest challenge we then start to see is you've not just moved stuff to cloud from cost saving or to spin up a new environment. You've not just started to look about advanced serverless. You then start to need to manage your whole architecture as it grows. You need to be able to control how you're sending data into a cloud environment, into a platform as a service environment, a software as a service environment, and the legacy data that's residing on-prem. And this is where we start to see some of the challenges around API management and application management. How am I sending data between all these systems? The final piece in here, we see this an awful lot for organizations, is the appetite to be able to have an open API. And what we mean by this is organizations wanting to publish and distribute data out to their third parties. A third party could be a customer, a supplier, a purchaser. We see this from multiple use cases, not just BFSI, but also in manufacturing, some of the larger telcos. So in essence, you want to have a gateway to be able to communicate out between your organizations. And how do you manage this? How do you send cloud-based data from on-premise into the cloud out to third parties? So as you can see, there's a whole plethora of things to think about as you start moving towards your cloud journey. The big debate. There is so much change in our space, just as there was in the Hadoop space 4 years ago, towards cloud now. Every vendor is moving towards a cloud native environment. For everything I've spoken about, you can see on the levels of service, every organization has the challenges around moving data, keeping up with on-premise data, managing change data capture on the fly. How do you do data quality on the legacy plus the new? And then as I move and I really start to advance, how do I manage external APIs? How do I manage internal infrastructure? As you can see from this, and this is just a small subset, there are multiple vendors that specialize in these spaces. Where we've seen we add advantage is by our cloud native data management platform. We cover all of these. So as I described the journey of cloud, we would cover and manage it as you grow based on where you are in the journey. And so it's an interesting point to bring up here, is you are going to have a challenge of managing multiple vendors as you move down this cloud path. So really important to consider that you try and build best in breed. That's really important. On this instance, I just wanted Kent to just run through just very quickly some of the areas that we specifically focus on for cloud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So one of the few modernization initiatives that we're running across APJ and even in the Philippines is practically modernizing their cloud data analytics architecture. Okay, so in this architecture, you can see that there are 4 phases. First of that is the data discovery. So this is what we recommend to be the first step or the first phase, primarily because we would like to help customers and have the customers realize that as they build their discovery of their overall data landscape, we can build a lineage and an overall data glossary of what they have within their data architecture. So meaning that they're able to identify which data they can easily move now up into the cloud as they modernize, and which specific data sets unfortunately cannot be moved into the cloud, but has to stay on premise. So that's where the data discovery really lies in, and it gives you the good baseline of your overall enterprise data landscape within your organization. Okay, once you're done with data discovery, now we can start building data ingestion pipelines. This could be coming from data from your IoT data sources, on-premise applications or databases, or even cloud apps. So building these data ingestion pipelines is where our platform really works well, because going and building these data ingestion pipelines, there's a lot of ways in building these pipelines. Some of the data are real time. Some of them can be ingested in batch, and being able to do all of those ingestion capabilities on a single platform is where our customers are actually liking our platform. Be able to to manage batch integration and real-time integration all at the same time in a single process is what our customers are seeing value in terms of building data ingestion pipelines within the platform. Okay, once you've had and build those data ingestion pipelines, you can land those either in the cloud data lake or a cloud data warehouse. and then start slicing and dicing your data. So it's really now building your ingestion, your integration, and data quality, be able to convert that data, enrich that data so that it's now becoming an enterprise ready data set. Okay, so applying those integration and quality rules within your specific data set is where Phaser comes in. Once you've started ingesting those data sets into your target cloud provider, definitely you like to slice and dice that. You like to apply data quality rules even prior to ingestion. Just like what Daniel mentioned earlier, you don't want your dirty data to be ingested up into your cloud data lake, which means if that's going to be the case, you'll have the same dirty set from your on-premise up into the cloud. Okay, so that's primarily phase 3, where data quality, data curation comes in. We're practically making this data set ready for your analytics phase, which comes into phase 4, enterprise data preparation. Now that we have slice and dice data, we've made it ready for your cloud data warehouse for your analytics. We can also have this data prepared to feed into your machine learning or AI algorithms or AI models. So the cloud data warehouse, as you feed that off into your downstream applications for analytics, we can also feed the same data set for machine learning for predictive analytics. Okay, cloud data warehouse, as it feeds into different visualization, BI tools, and even machine learning, it actually looks into the past so that it gives you a really good view and analytics for what's happening within the business. Sending this data or preparing this data, going into your machine learning AI models will give you a futuristic view of what your data set is looking at and give you a little bit more predictive view of your analytics architecture. Okay, so that's actually the modern analytics architecture that we are recommending to customers all throughout APJ, and even for some customers in the Philippines. Yep. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Ken. Sorry, I'll just put myself on mute. So yeah, in interest of time, as you can see, full portfolio of products, and we'll absolutely get into this today. Just before I finish off, and we really want to get some debate in here and chat to guys. One thing that we've done a lot of work on is to actually study cloud readiness. This isn't, and it's done by another third-party consultancy that we've worked with, Eckerson Group. The interesting find is this isn't applicable for customers that are thinking about moving to cloud. It's also applicable around organizations that have already started phase 1 of cloud. And so we've done some studies, which we do with this, which actually rate the appetite for moving to cloud, but also rate how smart you've been in doing it, phase 1. And so this is something that we'd absolutely love to chat with any of the organizations on here today, how we've done that, because it's actually shown some very interesting scorings around specific graphic models and overall scorecards on how smart you are at moving to cloud. Again, thinking of disciplines around data quality, data governance, decoupling from just single cloud vendors. So if that's something of interest, we've absolutely got that to offer. In interest of time, that was me closed off. I'm going to stop sharing, hand it back, and then I hope we can start having a debate and conversation with some of the attendees.
Thank you, Daniel. Again, I'd like to inform everyone that we are going to upgrade your status to panelist so that you can directly ask Daniel your questions. Give us a minute. All right, so we will have a 10-minute Q&A. So guys, feel free to ask our speaker. We have Daniel and Kent mga tangay. They are the experts from Informatica. So please take this opportunity to ask questions. For the information of everyone, I'd like to acknowledge our the presence rather of our participants. We have Miss Armida Lumibaw from Mega World. We also have Sir Edison Dungo from Manila Doctors and Sir Jeffrey Famatiga, MedSurge, Sir Larry Sangalang rather from Alphamart, Lester Andres from Pagcor, Sir Mark Barachina from Telus, and Sir Nito Alvenis from First Life Financial, Miss Noreen Boots Gragasin from Civil Service Commission, Sir Reg Tamayo from Bureau of Treasury, and Rex Paloma, EPLDT, and Sir Roger Correlia, KWE Philippines.
Hi everyone, I understand the question.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. If you could please introduce yourself.
And for the benefit of the end users, just like to ask the difference between the serverless and the advanced serverless.
Yeah. So yeah, I can cover that part. So practically when you go into serverless and advanced serverless, the main difference here is there are certain capabilities that the serverless um, environment actually brings. So serverless capability, at the very least for the Informatica perspective, is we can easily expand out your uh, your architecture and infrastructure, be able to scale this out completely and easily, regardless of the chosen cloud provider that you are currently working on, either Microsoft, AWS, or Google. And that practically gives you now the capability to be able to scale out in a lot more easier manner. Okay. Uh, Advanced serverless, on the other hand, practically means that there's nothing that you guys will be managing within your actual environment. So everything will be provisioned. Everything will be running on the cloud providers infrastructure. In this case, Informatica Cloud, and be able to have that capability and have that flexibility that you're no longer managing anything. So if you prefer to have zero footprint of your servers or anything else within your cloud provider, then you can go into advanced serverless. Serverless practically means that we can expand out using your chosen cloud provider or the one that you're currently using. Advanced serverless, practically, there's nothing else for you guys to manage. You can just run all of your integrations, use the service without worrying about scalability uh, and high availability on that part. So yeah.
One more question. Can you tell me about more the Spark processing?
So yeah, Spark processing is one of the few things that is utilized by the serverless and advanced serverless capability. To be able to spin up Spark nodes on demand and in real time based on the data that's being processed. If all of a sudden you you are supposed to process a huge chunk of data, what would happen before is you need to be able to prepare yourself in order to process that amount of data, which means you need to have a big and or probably a huge infrastructure in order to support that huge data that you are going to be processing. Serverless and advanced serverless, as it connects into Spark processing, is we're able to spin up the Spark nodes again on demand, depending on when you are starting to process this amount of data. So the flexibility and the benefit for you there is you no longer need to have the capability and the skills to manage a big data architecture and a big data infrastructure, which is for some of our customers become cumbersome, that's become expensive. So going to serverless and advanced serverless capability really takes out that that dependency on big data skills and be able to run your big data processing in a lot more flexible manner, gives you that capability using Spark processing.
Yeah, got this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kent.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is related to Dre's question. Since we talked about Spark, can we also do Hadoop using the serverless and advanced serverless?
So I guess what you're asking right now is, does the advanced serverless or serverless capability will have the flexibility to utilize existing Hadoop architecture infrastructure?
Yeah.
I'm just assuming is that the case. So right now, no, because if we're going to be doing that for at least for now, we'll be limited into their current Hadoop architecture and infrastructure. And being able to have the flexibility and the scalability for utilizing advanced serverless and even serverless capability really gives you now the flexibility and the breadth of the cloud providers to be able to provide you with the vast amount of resources that they can provide. if you're going to advanced serverless, and still maintain your Hadoop infrastructure and architecture, you're still going back into the old days, wherein you still need to manage your own Hadoop architecture and infrastructure, and you won't be able to enjoy and maximize the flexibility and the capability of the advanced serverless features and capabilities. Yeah.
Absolutely, and Ken's spot on, and to extend onto that, we've of course seen a lot of companies invest in Hadoop, and so we're not saying it's a negative technology because people have invested and we've got some great projects. But what you have with the ability of a serverless and advanced serverless, again, is to take the advantage of Spark without having to manage your Hadoop environment, your HFC environment, MapReduce, Hive, and any of the open source tools to manage that Hadoop layer. So in essence, what we've seen is customers taking advantage of new projects for large scale data number crunching using cloud-based in serverless environment compared to the traditional on-prem Hadoop world. And a lot of that is just the time and effort, resources it takes to maintaining that Hadoop node-based cluster.
Thank you. We have a question from Sir Rex Paloma. Some clients already have various existing analytics platform. How does Informatica play in this scenario?
Yeah. So again, but there are of course multiple analytics providers that have been in the market a long time. What we've started to see is some challenges, certainly around data quality. That's a huge part where we're seeing organizations that genuinely need to have enterprise grade DQ. This is where we add strength. We see an awful lot of customers that may have 3 to 4 separate business intelligence tools, the traditional Power BI, Click, Tableau. We all know the players in this space. They still have multiple challenges of where is the data across these systems? How do I have enterprise data quality standards? And this is exactly where we've added value to the likes of Union Bank, some of the larger organizations, is you're scaling to be able to do a true enterprise grade self-service environment, and you're bringing in the disciplines of clean data across the whole organization. You're bringing in disciplines around data tagging and business glossary. And we start to see this even more relevant for organizations as they scale, where they're building in specific tagging of keywords so that they can start to standardize this across the organizations. Traditional analytics tools allow you to be able to do that in siloed groups. But when you genuinely want to bring in disciplines across the whole of enterprise, so any business user can start mining data sets, this is where we're bringing on top and beyond, not just the searching of where the data is in any system across any environment, cloud, hybrid, legacy, mainframe, but we're also bringing in these disciplines around specific data domains or business glossaries, where we're adding an awful lot more value on top of the traditional BI tools.
Thank you, Sir Dan. I hope Sir Rex that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess.
I was going to suggest at this stage, it's great to have Kent on the call. Kent is a seasoned Microsoft veteran. Although he looks 18, he's in fact been in the market a long time.
Don't be fooled by his looks.
Ken, can I ask? You've been involved in a Philippines-based, very large airlines project. Can you talk through what you've seen for this project, what you've seen for some other organizations as they move to cloud, deciding on one vendor versus multiple cloud vendors? Could you just chat through a little bit about this? Because I think this would be really useful for the attendees.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Should be okay. So frankly, for this customer, and unfortunately we cannot name them, but there's not a lot of airline companies anyway. So what practically happened there is they need to modernize their existing cloud, their existing data warehouse. One of the few things why they need to do that is because the maintenance become really expensive for them, and the capabilities that they are actually requiring it's no longer being provided by the existing data warehouse that they currently have. So what happened there is this is an existing Informatica customer, an existing traditional Informatica customer that has been utilizing our service for the past 8-10 years already, and they have been approached by a public cloud provider. Okay, so that's what we call our ecosystem partners, and they were given now the pitch and the capability of a cloud data warehouse, which they really like. Okay, and going to that part, and I guess this could be something that you'll be you're probably thinking on your mind is, since all of these cloud providers already have their native tools for integration and a little bit more of data quality, what brought in Informatica into the overall capabilities that we are able to expand out beyond the cloud provider, beyond what the cloud provider is giving to this customer. So yes, they can provide an easy way to ingest to ingest the data into this cloud data warehouse, but going beyond the ingestion, just like what Daniel mentioned, applying data quality rules, making it easier for this customer to be able to ingest, apply data quality rules, really slice and dice the data before it lands into a cloud, into the cloud data lake, and eventually into the cloud data warehouse, is where this customer is actually looking into. And as they now move on into the next phase of their ingestion into the cloud data warehouse, they start to realize that, okay, the existing and the native tools that's currently being provided is actually not at par into what they actually require. And that's where the Informatica platform actually gives them now the capability. So being able to ingest and to get data from from real-time partners. So they're working with Amadeus as one of their partners, which provide them a real-time stream set of data. Being able to ingest that and slice and dice that into their cloud data lake and a cloud data warehouse is one of the easiest way to do in the platform, which unfortunately they tried doing it via script. Yes, it was good enough, but when this good enough starts to become a little bit more cumbersome and expensive, and this is where the overall platform really comes in and brings in the value for this customer. Being able to see that the platform that can give them reusability, being able to have this capability to actually modernize their overall data analytics landscape and not go back into the same way that they have done previously, maintaining a lot of scripts. Some of their employees, unfortunately, has already left, and those are the ones that's been managing and build these scripts. So it's become now a problem in order to maintain the old scripts that they have built, and being able to have that capability of reusability in building their data ingestion, their integrations up into the cloud, easily modernize it, has been one of the good ways that they see the platform has bring them value. So not to the point that they're also considering multiple cloud providers, and each and every cloud providers have their own ingestion tools, and unfortunately those ingestion tools doesn't work with one another. And having our platform be able to give them the flexibility now that yes, they are looking into this cloud provider right now, but maybe in the future they might consider somebody else. We'll give them also that flexibility. So again, it's just looking into the future for that capability that they might be enjoying. So yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ken. I remember releasing a story of Union Bank. No? We published a story about Union Bank, and now you mentioned this transportation or airline company. What other industries have you had successful migration, particularly for Philippine-based companies? If you could just mention other industries, no, in addition to
absolutely. Absolutely. So certainly not applicability to Philippines, but across the whole of APAC.
All right.
We've seen a large movement of the big organizations migrating certain elements to cloud, and so that would be again not just for cost saving, but they want to spin up an analytics environment so much quicker and start analyzing data in hours rather than weeks to months that it previously took. So we see that with the big players. BFSI is large, and we started to see it very heavily with some of the regional insurers. I can't name, but we're talking to a few. A lot of these insurers are running cloud projects with multiple cloud vendors across the whole of APAC. Again, same challenges there around how do you have data privacy? How do you have a single clean customer view? How do I consolidate all of the touch points across the whole organization? But what we've also seen is FMCG, consumer, some supply chain, moving some of their smaller projects to a cloud environment purely for the speed. And so we have seen some reticence and people worried about PAI and data sovereignty challenges. But we've also seen some of the smaller and mid-tier organizations absolutely spin up a project for very, very cheaply using a cloud environment rather than going down the legacy path of their traditional on-premise business intelligence routes. So yeah, it absolutely varies from a SME that wants to do very small data crunching to a very large bank or a very large insurer that wants to, as we mentioned earlier, take advantage of serverless, wants to take advantage of being able to run Spark jobs in the cloud.
Thank you. You've mentioned about data sovereignty. We have a question from one of our participants. Another aspect of this is from Sir Rex Paloma. How do you protect the data in your analytics platform, especially if you plan to monetize it pursuant to requirements of the data privacy law in the Philippines?
Yeah, I'll pick that up. Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Sir Rex. So practically, as you've seen in Daniel's presentation, we are really deep within the enterprise data management piece or data management platform. Be able to, at the very least, identify which certain sets of data you need to protect, which certain sets of data sets you need to protect, encrypt, or even mask as you feed this off into your analytics platform is just one of the capabilities that the platform provides. I guess you're one of the data security officers in the Philippines, and being able to protect the data set that you're planning to move up to the cloud, making sure that the data set that you're moving up into the cloud is pursuant into the laws that you guys have in the Philippines, and be able to be compliant in those regulations is one of the few things that customers are actually looking at Informatica to help them out. Be able to identify specific data sets. Is this certain data can be moved up into the cloud? And that's a reality. Most of the customers right now are actually looking to move up to the cloud for flexibility, scalability, and other capabilities. But the reality is certain data set unfortunately cannot be moved up to the cloud, primarily because of data privacy and compliance into certain regulations in the Philippines. And be able to identify that data set is one of the capabilities that the customers are looking at Informatica to help them out identify this data set can actually move up to the cloud. This data set, maybe we can move it up to the cloud, but we have to encrypt this or we have to mask this. And that's just one of the capabilities of slicing and dicing data that we do provide our customers. And in that customer that we were talking about earlier, that's one of the few ways that we are helping them out, make sure that the data set, especially they have a huge customer data set, making sure that that is encrypted and that is secure as they move up into the cloud for their analytics.
At this point, I will now proceed to our closing remarks. We have Sir Roberto Baldone, the Regional Sales Director for Southeast Asia, handling Korea and India as well, from Informatica.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. And look a lot younger on that picture, pre-COVID, pre-lockdown. Thank you anyway. I want to close off by just saying a couple of words. And firstly, saying thank you to everybody for attending. Thank you to VSTCS for hosting, and to Dan and Kent for delivering the the great information and topics that you've delivered today. Now, a couple of calls to action, really, which were on Dan's and Kent's slides, just to reiterate. Firstly, it's not often you get something for free. So today we're going to talk about two things that you can get for free. Firstly, the cloud data management maturity assessment, right? Eckerson is very well regarded in the industry. And as Dan pointed out earlier, we are giving you the opportunity to fill in some short details on that, and you will receive your very own maturity assessment back, which is very insightful into how you're doing against industry trends. And also, therefore, you can benchmark your organization and areas like that. So highly encourage you to go through that assessment. It's very eye-opening for a lot of organizations that we speak to. And then off the back of that, we're happy to talk you through what other peers in the industry or within the local markets might be doing to increase their footprint around cloud. And then secondly, another freebie is our freemium service that we offered. So Dan talked about them before with regards to Azure and AWS. Now, it's not that they're not easy services to get the data in, but with the breadth of connectivity that Informatica brings, we allow you to get data from pretty much anywhere into Azure Synapse or AWS S3 and Redshift. So you guys can get up and running extremely quickly with these free services off the Informatica website. We also have the same service running for Snowflake. If any of you are playing around with Snowflake as a data warehouse or as a data lake, all of these will allow you to get up and running, start loading your data through using best of breed tools. And then if you wish to in the future, you can expand your usage through talking to VST ECS. Or we can come in and help you with regards to any specific use cases that you might have that you're looking for across your organization. So two freebies there. You'll all get this slide deck, I'm sure, from the VST ECS team. So you can contact those guys, and they've all got the click-throughs for you to be able to go through and leverage these free offerings. And with that, I would once again like to say thank you to you all for taking the time this Tuesday morning to attend the session. And I'll now hand back to our host, Maurice. Thanks, Maurice.
Thank you, sir. Okay, again, feel free to reach out to our product manager, Erica Valenciano, if you have questions. Erica, if you could please share on the chat window your contact details so that our participants could reach out to you. Sir Dan, there is a question. Can you give us a copy of your presentation, of your slides, so that we can send it forward to our participants? Would it be possible? All right.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You stay safe, everyone. Again, feel free to reach out to our Informatica team if you have questions. We are more than willing to assist you in whatever way we can relevant to your data migration or modernizing your data. We have our product manager, Erica Valenciano. Chat Carlos is also with us. She came from Informatica before joining us. So we have a lot of experts internally, and Svet as well. Once again, thank you so much. Please scan this. This is our survey form. We can do a one-on-one meeting. Let us know. So please scan this for the survey form. Once again, on behalf of VSTCS and Informatica, maraming salamat. You stay safe, guys, and hope to see everyone in person. Sana next year. Sana next year. Hopefully next year. Thank you.